back and forth with the legal challenges, the on and off again tariffs, does it undermine negotiations with other countries?
No, not at all, because the bottom line is that we are very, very confident that we're going to get this positive result, and we're even more confident that we're going to win in the end. You got to understand that Jameson Greer, the U.S. Trade Representative, is the smartest trade lawyer on earth, and that he chose this as the best option because it works fast, it gets us to the table with our trading partners, and it's going to hold up in court. And so if, heaven forbid, if it ever did have trouble in the future, we've got so many other options on the table that the president's policy is going to be there, enduring, and is going to make America great again, put America farmers first, and so on.
Should we be expecting an announcement on those other options soon?
Oh, those are well known. They're well studied. There are other options, parts of the trade law.
But using them, actually using
we won't
them
have to use them because we're using this, and it's been upheld in court.
Given the
This guy gets to go first, but I promise I'll take a couple. Yeah.
Given the uncertainty, obviously, that this is introduced, going back and forth with the courts, the first term, you guys put in tariffs successfully using these other pathways. Why not just do those again the first time? Was it a mistake to, try this other new one, and now we're kind of back in a position where you may have to use the original pathway?
This is a legal strategy that was designed by the best legal minds in the business, and the fact is that a lot of the stuff that happened in the previous term while I was here, 2017, were challenged in court as well. And so this is a normal cycle of what happens when there's trade law changes, and we're highly confident in the end result of the way we chose because it's been so scrutinized carefully by the people at USTR and other lawyers in the government, career lawyers often too.
The Treasury Secretary had said, I think last week or a couple weeks ago, that there were a number of deals in the pipeline. He expected that there would be agreements in the next couple of weeks. And given this, is that still the expectation that in the next week or two?
That's the expectation. Yes, that's right. I've been briefed on 3 that I think are about to happen, but I'm not going to speculate which ones. I know that's your job to ask that, but I'm not going to speculate because in the end the president decides, and so something that we think is close to the finish line, it could be he decides to go back to the beginning and add some more things and so on. So we'll wait and see. And I'll get back to you, but I got to go to the people here first.
Can I ask you a question?
But you had a question too. I did know. Come here. Yeah.
Amanda Head with Just the News. I know there was a lot of stipulation or a lot of recommendation that India was going to be the next country when it came to a major deal. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no thoughts on specific countries, but we've had lots of productive conversations with India. I had a wonderful meeting with their ambassador just recently, and so we're hopeful about that, but we're not going to put anybody ahead of the queue until the president decides to announce.
I'll let you go first.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Mr. Hassett, Larry Kudlow said on Fox that the bill that President Trump has endorsed, the big beautiful bill, is going to put more money in Americans' pockets. Can you name one way that will happen?
I could name a whole bunch of ways, but if we don't tax tips, then when you have your tip income, then the government's not taking any away. If you don't tax overtime, then the way it's in the bill is if you get paid time and a half, then you get taxed on time, but not the half. And so that half is a lot of money. I met the president of the United Auto Workers in my office a couple of weeks ago, and he said in some of the plants that are really running all out, that there are people that are getting 20 hours a week overtime, being paid $50, $60 an hour. So it's real money for real people, especially real middle class people that need it the most.
When will no tax on tips go into effect?
We'll see when the bill passes and what the final language is, but as soon as the bill passes, then we expect it to happen.
Kevin, you said this morning that there are no alternatives that you're working on to pursue when it comes to putting these tariffs in place, that you believe the way you're doing it now will ultimately prevail. Peter Navarro just told us that they are looking at alternatives.
Oh, no, if I said that I misspoke, because there's so many ways to do it. But the point is we're highly confident in this way. But there are so many ways to do it with 301s in the past. And anyway.
So why not implement those now while this is fighting it out in the courts?
Because this is going to work. This is going to win. We're very, very confident this is the right approach. And so we're very adamant that this is the right approach. And so, while we're ready for a backup plan that's never going to happen because this is going to work, then we're confident this is the right approach.
We've been talking about sort of the other mechanisms that the administration could use to legally justify these, but one mechanism that couldn't face any court challenges is Congress, right? The Constitution ultimately grants Congress the power to regulate trade. So with Republican majorities in both chambers, why not ask lawmakers to pursue your trade agenda?
Well, right now we're working on the big beautiful bill and the trade policy we have the authority to do from the White House, and so we view this as a better approach. And in addition, what President Dunn has started a negotiation that's moving a lot of pieces. So what we're doing is we're opening up foreign markets to U.S. products in a way that's never happened before, and that's the kind of thing with all these moving parts that's best done through the authorities that we have, rather than trying to negotiate every nuance of what happens with U.S. beef in the UK and so on. So there's a lot of country-to-country relationship management for each trade bill, and that's a thing that we believe is best done at the executive branch, and that's why we're doing it that way.
Do you have any concern about the impact on businesses, the impact on the economy of just the prolonged uncertainty, whether or not it's the court's fault or whether or not the fact that this is just kind of dragging out now, and businesses essentially don't know how exactly to plan, going forward?
No, I'm not that worried about the uncertainty. In fact, if you look, we've had really strong jobs numbers. We had an explosion in capital spending in the first quarter, 20% equipment spending up, 10% overall capital spending. And so what's happened is that the belief, it's not the uncertainty, the belief, the high confidence that President Trump is going to land this plane is making everybody create jobs in the U.S., move factories in the U.S., and we're seeing it in the data. And so I don't think that there's a heck of a lot of uncertainty where we're going to, like maybe someone wonders, is the rate going to be this or that at the margin, but I think people are highly confident that President Trump is going to land this plane, and that's why there's so much activity coming to the U.S., why job creation is so high, and why, by the way, we just had one of the biggest increases in consumer sentiment that we've ever seen, because people understand, oh, now I understand what's going on, I see that this is going to happen, and I'm planning accordingly.
Have you spoken with any business groups, chamber or business roundtable since this decision, just about how they're
which decision? I haven't spoken with anyone today,
I guess
but I
last
speak
night's
every day in all
program
sorts of groups. I've met with groups yesterday.
Were you in the room today for the president's meeting with the Federal Reserve Chair?
Yes, I was.
And how would you describe how that meeting went?
I think that the chair issued a statement about it, and I agree with the statement.
Though you agree with Jerome Powell's statement?
That he issued, yes.
And did the president express his displeasure? How did he express his displeasure?
If you
over
look at
rates?
True Social, the president's opinion that interest rates could be lower right now is very clear and very public.
So he repeated his Truth Social post, basically.
I won't talk about what happened in the Oval, but the president's views are very clear.
Can I ask you, the Section 232 investigations that were ongoing before this court ruling in the last 24 hours or so, is speeding those up an option as this legal process plays out? When you sort of look at other avenues to enact the president's tariff agenda, or are those already at max speed?
The pace of those legal questions is something that you have to ask James Greer about. I'm just an economist again. So.
How are you?
Like the lawyers are moving too slow for an economist, but maybe much faster than is possible.
That's right. I guess
Okay.
is pivoting to existing authorities Plan B or Plan A, as your colleague?
I don't think we need a plan B. I think Plan A is going to work, but we're ready for everything that happens.
Right.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks so
Enjoy
much,
the beautiful
Evan.
day.
Really appreciate it.